This is LauraJthe.Treetalker. Today I spoke to Ebony, and it wanted to talk about response to terrorism. So I said to it, okay, I suppose we ought to start by defining what you mean by terrorism. And it told me, a sneaky and underhanded attack. First, you don't see it coming, and second, the way it's done is like no fair. I said, okay, yeah, I can see how that would apply not only to big things like 9/11, but to interpersonal relationships as well. It said to me, right, I think most people can think of examples of this in their lives. The part that's hardest to deal with is that it comes from someone you trust, one who's trusted enough to be given access to your innermost desires and fears, which are usually protected from exposure in some way. That is learned behavior, obviously from early childhood. Nobody comes out of the womb with lack of trust issues, but they can learn them pretty quickly. The people who know you the best are the ones that can do the most damage because they know where to strike. In that way, it's a form of terrorism because the result of the affront is that you don't completely trust them anymore, even if they acknowledge what they've done and say they're sorry. You become, perhaps unconsciously, fearful of another attack. And once it's happened, the genie is out of the box, and the relationship is permanently damaged because even if it never happens again, the emotional memory will always be there. It lives in the cells of your body. I said, and there are a variety of possible ways people respond, but that's a discussion people should best have with a therapist or a counselor of some kind. And it responded, yes, true enough. We don't need to go into the personal side of this any further right now. Then I said, at the moment, we humans are experiencing trust issues all over the world. Got any thoughts on that? It told me, the basis of human governments started long ago when you were simply a relatively small family group kept together by necessity, safety in numbers, that kind of thing. Living on the savannah where there were some pretty ferocious predators who considered you part of their food group meant that you A, needed to stay together, B, could hopefully find someplace that offered shelter like a cave or something, and C, somebody had to keep watch. This all requires organization. So there had to be a leader or an alpha to keep everybody behaving in a way that benefited the group as a whole. And if there was one or more members of the group who didn't want to behave, they would be threatened with expulsion, which at that time would mean almost certain death. And the seeds of terrorism were sown. How's that? I said. It said, well, consider this. The younger, usually male, member of a tribe had lived in a state of trust with all the other members of the family. He starts acting up, as young people do at a certain age, and maybe the typical discipline doesn't work for whatever reason. So the tribal leaders get fed up and kick him out, which is a complete shock to him. He feels betrayed, he's bereft, and he's frightened because now he's on his own, not just physically, but emotionally. The tribe is like a warm blanket. You don't have to be scared. You don't have to make any big decisions for yourself. You give up some freedoms, but the emotional and physical security is worth it. But now suddenly everything is different. It's like waking up in a new world. Think about it. This is actually what happened at some time in your distant past. Some of those who were ostracized were old enough that they themselves had families and flocks and herds of their own. They left, found somewhere else to live, and thrived. They grew in number and prosperity, and some of them saw the wisdom of their former elders' decision and lived in peace, forming a new group. But some others were bitter and angry. They'd never gotten over their feeling that they'd been betrayed by those who had thought loved them. And that sense was buried deep inside and festered. And eventually they went back and made war on their former family members, in some cases wiping out the whole group in revenge. I said, wow, this really happened? And it said, yes, of course. And it's really the same now. although it involves a massively larger number of people and doesn't quite look the same. I'm sure it doesn't look like it's simply trust issues, but it is. In a tribe, which is how humans group together, there are a few leaders and there are many followers, and the basis of the relationship is one of mutual trust. The leaders are there to lead, direct, organize, and figure out how to provide for the rest. The followers are there to do the various tasks involved in keeping things moving along smoothly in daily life. If there's something unusual, such as a natural disaster or the outbreak of a disease or even some kind of attack that occurs to disturb daily life, the leaders are supposed to react quickly to organize the response. The followers carry out the plan. But if the leaders don't lead, if the focus of their attention isn't on what's best for their people, then the structure of the society can falter or even fall apart. Then the followers, the populace, feel betrayed. They feel angry, bitter, bereft, and frightened. And sometimes they protest this lack of leadership and demand what was promised them. And sometimes they rise up and overthrow those who have betrayed them. So I said, is this a warning or a prophecy? And it said, no, I'm just saying this is how human history has unfolded so far. It remains to be seen what will happen next. You will either follow the same patterns that you have done, or you will truly learn lessons from your mistakes and perhaps create a future where all are treated fairly and with respect, no matter what position they hold. But you will all need to, as a whole, understand that because of the adverse impact your great numbers and most common practices are having on the planet's resources, that you may not be able to repeat these destructive cycles again. That is the ideal that you must pursue in order to continue on. So I asked it, are you certain that we can make the alterations that are obviously needed to make this advance, even I might call it this quantum leap in our behavior? It replied, of course, I'm certain, but you need to be too. And that's the message from the Ebony tree. I hope you enjoyed today's reading, and I thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and share with all your nature-loving friends. And now a few pictures. Okay, this one was sitting behind her, which I didn't say, and I should. I don't know. Okay, something, full screen. Hello. All right, so the reason I'm doing this, the way I'm doing it, is because I intend to cut out this end part here so that, here, come here, you, so that I can shorten this video. There. All right. So, the ebony tree, now I thought it was just in Africa, but no, it's everywhere. And this is like okay. This, they're in Texas as well, so I don't know. Anyway. I'm going to put these on my, some of them on the what used to be called community page. So what you do to get to that is underneath this video, you'll see a little circle with my picture in it, and you click on that and you can go to the home page, and that's where all the other stuff is, I think. Okay. So we're little pictures, pretty flowers. That's the wood. There. That's what ebony wood looks like in a lumber yard. Right? Weird. Okay, so and this is an old one someplace or other. Beep, boop. Yeah. Neat, isn't it? So, most of these pictures weren't as big as I hoped they'd be. And this is a seed pod. And more seed pods. And this is a tree cut down, and you can see what the wood looks like when they, can you imagine the first time anybody ever cut one of these down and it was all black on the inside? So, okay, I guess that's it. Alrighty, so that's that. Well, I'm probably going to edit out all this end stuff here. Ooh, well, I've finished my cards, and I'm going to start doing something with them. I did one test reading with my friend Jeremy, and I just used the Celtic cross reading, but I'll kind of do some readings on my own here about various things and see what I can do. And see what I can do with them, and then I might, like, take a picture of the spread and then tell you what it meant, or post that, or something or other. I don't know what I'll do exactly, but eventually I will start showing the readings here somehow or other. Anyway, that's that. So I hope you have a nice coming week, and it's almost the first, it's like, it'll be 1st of April, I guess, when I post this. I'm not sure. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope you are enjoying these readings as much as I am. Bye-bye.